The silence that follows the roar is heavier than the snow-laden pines. It is a silence of assessment, of counting the living. 3 hunters stand, their breath plumbing in the frigid air, their spears slick with blood that is not their own. Fourth, the boy Kale lies on the frozen earth, a canvas of red spreading beneath his thigh. The cave lion, one of the great prehistoric animals of this epoch, is gone, a tawny ghost melting back into the trees, its own flank weeping, but it left its terrible signature behind. The boy's leg is shredded. The muscle roll, pulpy-ruin, blood pulses from the wound. A rhythmic, life-minus emptying beat that quickens their fear. There is no time. The oldest woman, Nara, shoves the others aside. Her face, a map of hard seasons, is grim. She presses a handful of moss into the gash, but it is like trying to dam a river with a leaf. The moss darkens and overflows in seconds. Tonic, cold and sharp, begins to needle the edges of their resolve. This is the brutal calculus of prehistoric life. A deep wound as far from the cave as a death sentence. Mara's eyes dart around the small clearing, past the chips of flint from a hastily abandoned napping session, a fine lithic scatter marking their brief pause, and land on the fire pit. It is mostly embers and ash, a circle of grey warmth against the encroaching cold. An idea sparks, born not of knowledge but of desperation. She barks a command. 2 hunters pin Kayla's shoulders to the ground as he begins to thrash, his cries weakening. Mara scoops a double handful of the ashen charcoal, ignoring the heat. It is filthy, a mix of soot, burnt fat, and wood grit. To pack it into an open wound is madness. It invites the spirits of decay. But the alternative is certain death, watching the last of his warmth spill onto the snow. She makes the choice. She shoves the gritty, black powder deep into the wound. Kayla's scream is a sound not meant for a human throat. It is the raw sound of a nervous system on fire. The smell of searing flesh joins the scent of blood and pine. He convulses, then falls limp, his body surrendering to the shock. They pack more earth, creating a crude, black flood. The bleeding slows, then stops. They carry him back to the shelter, a fragile bundle of life. The fever comes, as expected, for days. He hovers in the grey space between worlds, his sleep troubled by visions of teeth and shadow. The clan watches. The other early humans in his hunting party tell the story. Their gestures sharp and wide. They paint their own skin with streaks of red ochre to honor his fight, a temporary tribute. But as the days turn to weeks, Kale lives. The fever breaks. The black, crusted mouse on his leg hardens and one body begins to flake away. Underneath is not the familiar pink of a healing scar, but something they have never seen. A jagged, black line, stark as a shard of obsidian, is now a part of him. It follows the path of the lion's claw, a permanent shadow embedded in his skin. He is more. He is other. He survived, and the fire has kissed his wound, leaving a story that will never wash away. Kayla's scar becomes a new feature of the clan's landscape. It is a thing of power. When he walks, the black line on his thigh is a dark ripple of motion, a piece of the night sky caught in his skin. The young ones stare, their fingers itching to touch the mark left by the great cat in the fire's ash. The other hunters give him a new respect, not just for his survival, but for the story he now carries. It is a story told without a single sound, a testament to Ender unset directly into his flesh. Mara watches this transformation with an intensity that borders on obsession. She sees how the clan's perception of Kale has changed. He is no longer just a boy who was careless. He is a man who faced death and bears its ghost. This is a powerful shift, a new kind of language, Hominid, a repository of seasons and survival strategies, begins to turn over a radical idea. What if the mark was not an accident? What if a story could be given, not just turned through a random, bloody encounter? This leap of symbolic thought is as monumental as the first shaping of a hand axe. Her experiments begin in secret, by the low light of the evening fire. She grinds charcoal from the pit, mixing the black dust with rendered animal fat to create a thick, greasy paste. She searches for the right tool, an extension of her will. A sharp flint flake is too crude, tearing the skin wide. A thorn from an acacia bush is too brittle, snapping under pressure. Her search is a testament to the slow, patient evolution of primitive technology. Finally, she finds it, a needle minus thin bone from the wing of a snow goose. She spends a day sharpening its point on a flat, gritty river stone until it is finer than a wasp's sting. She holds it up to the light. This small, pale instrument of creation. It is a tool not for hunting or scraping hides, but for writing on the canvas of a human being. It is a tool for an idea. Now she needs a volunteer. She needs someone to willingly accept the pain, to invite the sting in the blood for a purpose they cannot yet fully understand. She approaches the young men who sit on the edge of becoming hunters. Most recoil, shaking their heads. To intentionally break the skin is to invite bad spirits, to risk a festering wound that could steal a life. It is against instinct. But there is one, a youth named Doyen, whose eyes linger on Kay Leskar with a random concealed envy. He is strong but unproven, lost in the shadow of the older hunters. He craves a story of his own. He sees in Mara's strange proposal a chance to claim one. He agrees. That night, as the clan watches in a silent, wary circle, Owen sits before Mara. He offers her his shoulder. She dips the bone needle into the black paste. Her hand is steady. But this moment is a precipice in hominid history. She is about to inflict a controlled wound, to channel pain into meaning. She presses the point into his skin. Owen clenches his jaw, a sharp hiss of air escaping his teeth. She pulls it out and dips it again. A tiny bead of blood wells up, instantly stained black by the paste. Terp. A new drop of blood. Terp. A new spark of pain. She is not drawing a lion or a deer. She is drawing a simple, straight line. The mark of a spear. The mark of a man. O-I-N-S lined heels. It is not the jagged, chaotic mark of careless near minus death, but a clean, deliberate stroke of black. It is a thing of will, not of chance, and with it, everything changes. The mark becomes a currency of status. The other young hunters, once fearful, now see the power of it. They see Owen walk with a new straightness in his back. His mark a stark declaration of his courage. He has endured the needle. He has made a choice. The demand for Mara's skill grows from a trickle to a steady flow. This is a deep current in the river of human evolution. The moment when the fleeting act of bravery can be given a permanent form. The marks evolve. A single line is for the first large kill. A circle of dots for a man who has provided for a family not his own during a lean winter. A zigzag pattern for those who have navigated the treacherous mountain pass to find new hunting grounds. This is the birth of a lexicon, a visual language of contribution and identity. The act of marking becomes a defining ritual of the clan. It is no longer a quiet, uncertain event between two people but a ceremony for all. They gather to bear witness, to lend their strength to the one who endures the needle. The air grows thick with the low hum of chanting as Mara works, her bone needle rising and falling with rhythmic precision. The sharp, metallic scent of blood mixes with the smoke from the fire. This public ordeal is a core part of the process. Pain is the ink of memory, and the community's gaze is the force that sets it. If you, too, wish to bear witness to these echoes from our deep past, become a chronicler, subscribe, and join the fire circle. The skin becomes a living record, a walking history of the clan's triumphs and sacrifices. It is a form of archaeology written on the people themselves, a way to trace kinship and honor deeds long after the words describing them have faded. This is more than just scarification. It is the weaving of a social fabric, thread by painful thread. The leader of the hunt, a man named Bior, comes to Mara. He has more kills than any other, his wisdom as sharp as his spear. But he carries no marks save the pale, accidental scars of a hard life. He asks for the mark of the great cave bear, an animal he tracked and killed alone in the last deep snow. It is a mark no one else has earned. The ritual lasts from dusk until dawn. Mara traces the powerful shape of the bear's claw across his entire back. Biroa does not cry out, but his knuckles are white where he grips a stone, and sweat beads on his brow. The clan watches in awe. This is not just a man enduring pain. This is a leader accepting a covenant. The mark is a visual promise of his strength, a constant reminder of his duty to protect the clan. When it is done, Mara wipes the blood away with a wet hide. What remains is not a wound, but a sigil of power, a story of these ancient humans written in flesh and ink, forever binding the man to his people. We pull back from the firelight, from the raw, glistening mark on Bo's back, and see the small clan of Homo sapiens huddled together in the immense, indifferent cold of the Ice Age. What happened here, born of an accidental wound in old woman's insight, was a revolution. The human body ceased to be merely a vessel for life. It became a scroll, a living canvas for identity, love, and memory. This was the birth of the first book, and its pages were skin. The pain was not a flaw in the system. It was the system. It ensured that each mark was earned, that each story carried the weight of sacrifice. This primal need to record our passage, to make our allegiances and accomplishments visible, is an instinct they forged in the crucible of this unforgiving world. From the tribal tattoos of the Amazon to the regimental insignia on a soldier's arm, we are still our ancestors' children. We seek to make the invisible, our courage, our love, our loyalty, visible upon our bodies. We still answer the same fundamental question they first posed with a needle of bone. How do you prove who you are, not just to the world, but to yourself? The past is never truly lost. It is simply written in a language of bone, and stone, and skin. But in the south, a different kind of heat was beginning to melt the great ice, asking a new question entirely.